Have you ever noticed that the loudest voices often belong to the most uncertain minds? The ones who constantly seek validation, who fill every silence with words, who need to be heard, yet rarely understood. In contrast, the most powerful individuals move with quiet confidence, their presence felt rather than announced. They do not waste energy proving themselves, defending their worth, or chasing recognition. Instead, they observe, they wait, they act only when necessary. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the discipline of restraint, the strength of knowing when to speak and when to listen. In a world obsessed with noise, where people rush to be noticed, where opinions are shouted rather than pondered, the ability to remain still is an act of defiance. It is a return to the principles of the Stoics, the timeless wisdom of those who understood that true power does not reside in words, but in action, in thought, in self-mastery. Life does not reward those who demand attention, it favors those who cultivate patience. The more you chase something, whether success, respect, or love, the more it eludes you. But when you step back, when you stop grasping and start trusting, everything begins to align. The right people stay, the wrong ones leave. The right opportunities reveal themselves. The unnecessary fades away. To embrace silence is to reclaim your power. It is to rise above the distractions, to see what others miss, to move with purpose instead of impulse. Those who master stillness do not react, they respond. They do not seek approval, they embody self-assurance. And because they need nothing from the world inevitably offers them everything. This is not passivity, it is strategy. It is the way of the wise, the path of the strong. It is the quiet force that shapes great minds, great leaders, and great lives. And if you learn to embrace it, you will find that the less you force, the more you receive. The less you explain, the more you understand. And the moment you stop chasing, life starts coming to you naturally. 1. The power of silence. Silence is more than the absence of words. It is the presence of control, the mastery of self, the ability to move with wisdom rather than impulse. In a world where people speak to fill the void, where noise is mistaken for significance, silence stands as the ultimate discipline. It is a mark of those who understand that not every thought needs to be spoken, not every emotion needs to be expressed, and not every battle deserves engagement. The greatest minds throughout history, Stoics, philosophers, warriors, and sages, have all understood this truth. The more you speak, the more you reveal, and the more you reveal, the more vulnerable you become. Words are powerful, but they are also weapons, tools that can be turned against you, distractions that can pull you away from clarity, invitations for unnecessary conflict. A person who speaks less listens more, and in listening, they gain insight that those who constantly talk will never possess. Silence grants you the ability to perceive beyond what is being said. When you are quiet, you begin to hear what others miss, the hesitation in someone's voice, the contradictions in their words, the tension in their tone. You start to recognize intent not just in speech, but in action. You learn to read the room, to sense the unspoken motives, to understand the energy beneath every interaction. And in doing so, you place yourself ahead, not because you are louder, but because you are wiser. Most people fear silence because it forces them to confront their own thoughts. They talk to avoid reflection, to drown out their insecurities, to convince themselves they are in control. But those who embrace silence gain an unshakable advantage, the ability to observe without reacting, to analyze before engaging, to maintain composure when others unravel. When you no longer feel the need to explain, defend, or prove yourself, you reclaim your power. You stop playing games designed to provoke you, and in doing so, you remove yourself from the influence of those who seek to manipulate you. The strongest individuals do not seek recognition through words. They allow their presence to speak for them. They do not demand respect, they embody it. They do not waste their energy trying to be heard. They make their silence felt. And when they do speak, their words carry the weight of discipline, of thoughtfulness, of undeniable authority. That is the power of silence. It is not an absence, it is a presence. It is not weakness, it is control. And when you learn to wield it, you will find that the less you say, the more you understand, and the more you understand, the more powerful you become. 2. The weakness of noise. People often mistake volume for strength, believing that the one who speaks the most is the one in control. But history, philosophy, and experience all prove otherwise. The need to talk incessantly, to explain, justify, and seek approval is not a sign of confidence, it is a sign of insecurity. Those who cannot bear silence are often the ones most controlled by their fears. They speak not to express wisdom, but to seek validation, to mask uncertainty, or to convince themselves of a reality they do not truly believe. Noise is a shield for the weak. It distracts, misleads, and deceives not just others, but the person creating it. When someone constantly speaks, they reveal their emotions, their intentions, their weaknesses without even realizing it. Every unnecessary word exposes a vulnerability, a desire to be understood, a fear of being overlooked. The more a person explains, the more power they give away. The more they try to prove themselves, the more they demonstrate a lack of inner certainty. True confidence does not seek to be acknowledged. It exists independently of others' recognition. Consider the leaders, warriors, and philosophers who shaped history. They did not command attention through noise but through presence. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic emperors, did not waste words convincing others of his wisdom. He lived it. His power came not from endless explanations, but from the discipline of thought and the restraint of speech. The same principle applies today. Those who hold true influence do not need to boast, over-explain, or seek external approval. They simply embody their strength, and that quiet confidence is what commands respect. Yet, the modern world glorifies the opposite. Social media, entertainment, and daily interactions condition people to believe that being heard is more important than being wise. Everyone speaks, yet few listen. People argue not to understand, but to win. They share their thoughts impulsively, without consideration, without depth, without control. But what they fail to realize is that true power does not lie in being loud. It lies in knowing when to remain silent. The wise person speaks with intention, understanding that every word must serve a purpose. They do not waste energy trying to persuade those who have already decided against them. They do not feel the need to correct every misunderstanding or respond to every challenge. Instead, they allow their actions to speak, their discipline to be their argument, and their silence to command more respect than any explanation ever could. Noise is weakness because it is reactive. It is a desperate attempt to be seen, to be heard, to be validated. But those who truly understand power know that the loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. Strength is found in control, and control begins with silence. Those who can master it do not need to demand respect. It is given to them effortlessly. 3. Learning through observation. To see the truth, one must first be willing to be still. The mind that is constantly speaking cannot observe, cannot process, cannot understand beyond its own noise. Most people move through life reacting instead of perceiving, speaking instead of listening, assuming instead of analyzing. They are trapped in their own words, blind to what is right in front of them. But the one who remains silent, who steps back and observes, is the one who truly understands. Silence is the gateway to wisdom. It allows you to notice what others overlook, the subtle shifts in body language, the hesitation in someone's voice, the patterns in their behavior. People may try to deceive with words, but their actions always reveal the truth. Yet, most are too distracted, too eager to respond, too caught up in their own narrative to see it. They fill every moment with speech, missing the quiet confessions that life constantly offers. But the person who listens, who observes without judgment, who studies without rushing to react, sees everything. This is why silence is feared by those who have something to hide. The one who speaks less cannot be easily manipulated. They do not rush to defend themselves, do not explain their every thought, do not reveal their hand too soon. They allow others to expose themselves first. They let the impatient unravel. They let the deceitful contradict themselves. They let the impulsive reveal their lack of discipline. And in doing so, they remain steps ahead, not because they fought harder, but because they understood deeper. In ancient philosophy, the great thinkers and warriors alike practiced this discipline of silence and observation. The Stoics believed that self-mastery began with restraint, not only over one's actions, but over one's words. They knew that wisdom is not in speaking quickly, but in understanding fully. The greatest generals did not win battles through reckless force, but through careful study of their opponents, through patience, through waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The same principle applies in life. The more you observe, the more you understand. The more you understand, the better you navigate the world. Most people miss the signs that life gives them, not because those signs are hidden, but because they are too consumed with speaking to see them. They miss the warning signals in relationships. They ignore the subtle betrayals. They fail to recognize true loyalty. But silence grants clarity. It allows you to separate the genuine from the deceptive, the strong from the weak, the necessary from the distracting. To master life, one must first master the art of listening. The world constantly reveals itself to those who are patient enough to watch, who do not rush to respond, who who do not let emotions cloud their judgment. True strength is not in dominating conversations, but in understanding what is left unsaid. And once you learn to see beyond words, you will hold an advantage that few ever attain. 4. Silence as a strategic tool. The world has conditioned people to believe that visibility equates to power, that the louder one speaks, the more control they have. But history proves otherwise. The greatest victories, the most profound shifts, the most strategic moves have always been made in silence. A person who announces their every step gives the world a chance to interfere, to resist, to sabotage. But the one who moves quietly, who keeps their intentions concealed, who speaks only when necessary, is the one who remains untouchable. Think of a master chess player. They do not reveal their strategy before they strike. They do not announce their next move. They sit in calculated silence, reading the board, studying their opponent, waiting for the perfect moment to act. The same applies in life. The ones who speak too much, who expose their plans, their emotions, their fears, become predictable. And predictability is weakness. It makes you vulnerable to manipulation, to exploitation, to interference. When you practice silence as a strategy, you reclaim control. You no longer give people the chance to dismantle your dreams before they are built. You no longer waste energy explaining your vision to those who lack the capacity to understand it. You no longer seek validation from those who are waiting for you to fail. Instead, you build in the dark. You refine your craft, strengthen your mind, and prepare for the moment when your results will speak for themselves. Many fail not because they lack talent or discipline, but because they revealed too much too soon. They share their ambitions with those who secretly envy them. They explain their next steps to those who only pretend to support them. They allow doubt to creep in because they have given too many voices access to their mind. But the wise person moves differently. They recognize that not everyone deserves to know their plans, that not every dream should be spoken aloud, that the most powerful transformations happen away from the noise. Silence is not passivity, it is precision. It is the ability to hold your ground without revealing your position. It is the discipline to resist the urge to prove yourself, to explain yourself, to seek approval. It is the understanding that true power does not need to be declared. It is felt. And when you master the art of silence, you become a force that no one can predict, no one can undermine, and no one can control. 5. The art of attraction through stillness. The more you chase something, the more it escapes you. This is a fundamental truth woven into the fabric of life, yet so few understand it. People believe that effort alone guarantees results, that if they push hard enough, whether in relationships, careers, or personal ambitions, success will be inevitable. But reality does not work that way. Desperation repels. Neediness weakens. The moment you start chasing, you shift from a position of strength to a position of lack. And in that lack, you lose the very thing you desire. Attraction, whether in relationships, influence, or success, comes not from frantic pursuit, but from stillness, from the quiet confidence of knowing your worth. People are drawn to what is rare, to what is self-contained, to what does not beg for attention. A man who constantly seeks approval, who over-explains, who tries too hard to impress, unknowingly diminishes himself. He signals to the world that he values others' perceptions more than his own self-assurance. But the man who remains centered, who does not grasp, who moves with calm certainty, he commands respect without needing to demand it. The ancient Stoics understood this principle well. They did not chase power, recognition, or external validation. Instead, they focused on mastering themselves, knowing that the highest form of success is not found in acquiring things, but in becoming someone of value. And when you embody value, when you cultivate patience, self-discipline, and an unshakable presence, things naturally begin to gravitate toward you. People notice your absence, they sense your worth, they seek your presence not because you begged for it, but because you stopped making yourself so easily available. This is not about manipulation. It is about understanding the nature of energy. When you chase, you send a signal of incompleteness, of need, of dependence. But when you remain still, focused on your own path, you radiate abundance. You show the world that you do not need to force what is meant for you. And when you move from a place of wholeness instead of scarcity, the right opportunities, the right people, and the right circumstances align with you effortlessly. The lesson is simple but profound. Stop running toward what is meant to find you. Stop trying to convince people to stay. Stop exhausting yourself, proving your worth. Instead, build yourself into something undeniable. Move in silence. Focus on your own growth. And in doing so, you will find that what is truly meant for you has always been within reach, waiting for you to stop chasing and finally stand still. 6. Strength and stillness. True strength is not found in aggression, in loudness, or in proving oneself to the world. It is found in restraint, in the ability to remain unshaken while others scramble for control. The one who can remain still in chaos, who does not react to every insult, every provocation, or every challenge, is the one who holds true power. The Stoics understood this well. External events have no real control over you. Only your perception of them does. And when you master stillness, you master yourself. The modern world conditions people to believe that immediate reactions equal strength, that you must defend yourself at every turn, respond to every attack, and assert your dominance through words and actions. But this is a misunderstanding of power. A person who is quick to anger, who feels the need to explain, to argue, to justify, is not strong. They are controlled. Their emotions dictate their actions, and in doing so, they hand over their power to those who know how to manipulate them. But the individual who remains still, who does not respond impulsively, who does not explain unnecessarily, who does not waste energy on battles that do not serve them, becomes untouchable. They frustrate those who seek to provoke them. They disarm those who rely on emotional reactions, and they remain in control while others exhaust themselves in meaningless conflicts. Their silence is not weakness, it is a weapon. Think of the greatest warriors, the most revered leaders, the most respected minds in history. They did not waste time arguing with fools. They did not engage in unnecessary conflict. They understood that the most powerful response is often no response at all. By refusing to react, they forced the world to adjust to them rather than adjusting themselves to the world. And this is what separates those who lead from those who are led. The ability to dictate one's own emotions, rather than allowing others to dictate them. When you embrace stillness, you stop being predictable. People can no longer control you through insults or praise. You become a force of nature, calm, steady, immovable. You no longer waste words convincing people of your worth. You no longer chase after validation. You no longer engage in battles that drain your energy. Instead, you move with purpose, conserving your strength, choosing your responses wisely, and using your silence to command more respect than any argument ever could. To master life, you must master yourself. And to master yourself, you must master the art of stillness. Not everything requires a reaction. Not every battle is worth fighting. And the moment you understand this, you will move differently, speak differently, and exist on a level that few can reach. True strength is not about proving your power. It is about knowing that you do not need to. 7. The freedom of releasing control. One of the greatest sources of suffering in life is the need for validation, the desperate desire to be seen, to be understood, to be approved of. It is a silent prison that keeps people bound to the opinions of others, measuring their worth by external approval rather than inner conviction. But the truth is, as long as you seek validation, you will always be controlled by those who grant or withhold it. The moment you release that need, the moment you stop explaining, proving, and justifying yourself, you become truly free. Most people spend their lives chasing recognition. They shape their actions, their words, and even their identities based on what they believe will earn them approval. But this is an illusion. The more you try to please others, the more you sacrifice yourself. The more you depend on applause, the weaker your foundation becomes. Because validation, when sought externally, is never stable. It is given one day and taken away the next. It shifts with public opinion, with trends, with the unpredictable nature of human perception. And if your sense of worth is tied to something so unstable, you will forever be at the mercy of forces outside your control. But the individual who no longer seeks validation is untouchable. They do not need applause to feel valuable. They do not need approval to move forward. They act with conviction, not with the fear of judgment. And in doing so, they command a different kind of respect, not one that is asked for, but one that is given freely. Because people admire those who do not beg for admiration. They are drawn to those who move with quiet certainty, with a presence that does not need to be announced. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest emperors and philosophers, did not govern based on public opinion. He did not need the world to tell him he was just, wise, or capable. He lived according to his principles, guided by his own internal compass, knowing that external validation is fleeting. Seneca warned of the dangers of needing constant approval, recognizing that true contentment comes not from applause, but from self-respect. And Epictetus taught that the opinions of others are beyond our control, and to be disturbed by them is to give away our peace. If you want to be truly free, stop seeking validation. Stop explaining yourself to those who will never understand you. Stop chasing recognition from those who do not matter. Instead, cultivate a life so strong, so disciplined, so deeply rooted in purpose that no external opinion can shake it. When you release the need to be validated, you reclaim your power. You walk differently. You speak differently. You stop playing games that were never meant for you. And in that space of inner certainty, you find something far greater than approval. You find real freedom. 8. The power of absence. Presence is often taken for granted, but absence is always felt. The more available you make yourself, the more people assume you will always be there. The more you give without limits, the more they come to expect rather than appreciate. But when you step back, when you create distance, when you remove yourself from those who have grown too comfortable with your presence, something changes. People are forced to confront what they once ignored. They begin to realize the depth of what they had, not through words, not through explanations, but through the void left behind. There is a reason why some of the most powerful figures in history understood the value of distance. The Stoics, the great warriors, the leaders who commanded respect, they did not overextend themselves. They did not beg for acknowledgement. They did not force themselves into spaces where they were not valued. Instead, they let their absence teach the lessons their words never could. They allowed people to feel the weight of losing them. And in that absence, the truth became clear: who truly valued them, and who only valued what they could take. Absence is a filter. It separates those who were merely benefiting from your presence from those who genuinely appreciate you. It exposes who will reach out, who will make an effort, and who will simply let you go without a second thought. And that truth, though sometimes painful, is necessary. Because when you stop making yourself overly accessible, you force people to show their true priorities. You remove the illusion of attachment and reveal the reality of connection. Most people assume that maintaining relationships, whether friendships, family ties, or romantic bonds, requires constant effort, constant communication, constant reassurance. But this is not true. The relationships that are real, the ones that matter, do not need to be forced. If someone values you, they will notice your absence. If someone respects you, they will not require constant reminders of your worth. And if someone truly cares, they will not let distance turn into detachment. This is not about playing games or manipulating emotions. It is about understanding your own value. It is about refusing to beg for appreciation. It is about stepping back not to punish others, but to give them the space to realize what they had before it is too late. Some people only understand loss. Some only wake up when something is gone. And that is why absence is a more powerful teacher than words will ever be. The lesson is simple. Do not overextend yourself to those who do not reciprocate. Do not fight to stay in places where you are merely tolerated. Do not explain your worth to those who should already see it. Instead, master the power of distance. Because those who truly value you will never let your absence go unnoticed, and those who do were never meant to stay. 9. Trusting the timing of life. The modern world glorifies speed. People want immediate success, instant gratification, and overnight transformation. They believe that if something doesn't happen quickly, it won't happen at all. But nature teaches a different lesson, one that the Stoics and great thinkers of the past understood deeply. Everything unfolds in its own time. A tree does not force its branches to grow faster. The seasons do not rush their cycles, and the river does not panic when its course changes. Yet, everything happens exactly as it should, at exactly the right moment. Impatience is a symptom of fear, the fear of missing out, the fear of falling behind, the fear that life is slipping through our hands. But the truth is, nothing real, nothing lasting, is ever built in haste. A foundation that is rushed will always crumble. A mind that is impatient will always make reckless choices. And a person who does not trust the process will always seek shortcuts, only to find that they lead to dead ends. The greatest achievements in life, whether in relationships, success, or personal growth, do not happen in an instant. They require time, discipline, and endurance. The warrior does not become skilled overnight. He sharpens his blade in silence, preparing for the battle long before it comes. The philosopher does not gain wisdom through quick answers. He contemplates, he questions, he allows truth to reveal itself over time. And the person who seeks greatness does not demand immediate rewards. They trust that everything they are working for will manifest when they are truly ready for it. Yet most people grow restless. They compare their progress to others, believing that if someone else has achieved something faster, they must be failing. But life is not a race. It does not follow a single timeline. Some flowers bloom in spring, others in autumn. Some men find their purpose early, others after years of struggle. Some victories come swiftly, others require a season of stillness, of preparation, of unseen growth beneath the surface. The mistake people make is assuming that delay is denial. But in reality, what seems like a pause is often a lesson, a refinement, a necessary shaping of character before something greater arrives. The Stoics believe that what is meant for you will come, and what is not meant for you will pass. They taught that the only true control you have is over your own mind, your own discipline, and your own actions. Everything else, timing, external success, recognition, is beyond your command. And so the wise person does not rush, does not panic, does not force. They move with patience, knowing that anything built too quickly is destined to collapse, but anything built with endurance is unshakable. Trust the process. Trust that what you seek is seeking you. Trust that even in stillness, you are growing. The strongest people are not those who rush toward their desires, but those who understand that life unfolds at its own pace, and that by mastering patience, they master everything. Conclusion. In a world that equates noise with significance and reaction with strength, silence remains an overlooked art. Yet, it is in silence that true power is cultivated. The ability to restrain oneself, to observe rather than react, to move with precision rather than impulse. This is what separates the strong from the weak, the wise from the foolish, the master from the crowd. When you embrace silence, you reclaim your energy. You no longer waste words on those who refuse to understand, no longer seek validation from those who will never give it, no longer chase what is meant to come naturally. You begin to see the world for what it is, people for who they truly are, and yourself for the potential that lies within you. This is not about withdrawal, it is about control. It is about knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to act and when to wait, when to move and when to remain still. The greatest victories are not won through force, but through discipline. The strongest presence is not the loudest in the room, but the one that commands attention without demanding it. So step back. Let your silence be your strength. Let your patience be your strategy. Let your presence be felt, not through words, but through the quiet confidence of knowing who you are and what you stand for. And as you walk this path of wisdom, remember, those who master silence master life. If you found value in these insights, subscribe to the channel for more content on Stoicism, ancient philosophy, and the art of personal growth. Continue your journey toward mastery, and let wisdom guide your steps.